who are the parties that actually would go in or be involved in an audit? Who's going to go in and do this? And it doesn't matter whether it's a reinsurance contract, a transaction, to acquire a company, or it doesn't matter whether it's related to finite risk. In my background, I'm a CPA, and I come from a financial angle. I'm not an underwriter. I'm not a claims person. So the angle that I've always come from was, is the financial information right? Is the data right? And that would be the angle. So you have the internal parties that come into play. It could be an internal audit shop. It could be the internal audit shop of either the ceding or the assuming company, depending on who's doing the audit. It could be specialists like John has on his staff of reinsurance claim specialists. It could be, you could be going in with another party, joint audit. It could be several reinsurers going in on behalf of a contract because they'll do a joint audit. You could have regulators coming in. Depends on the stage where a regulator might come in. A regulator does routine audits of insurance companies and reinsurance companies, and they might, reinsurance would be part of their audit. They might have a special need if there's a special transaction that might have provided surplus relief where they would look at that. And then, of course, you've got external consultants like ourselves who go in on behalf of a company. In an arbitration, under oath, under testimony, I was once asked, are there any standards for CPAs or others, actually, that dictate what are the audit procedures that you should be performing when you go in and conduct the audits we've been talking about here? And the answer is there's really not anything much in writing. Now, the only thing that I grew up with, and this was after, and goes, again, shows my age, back in the late 70s, there was a complete fiasco with reinsurance not being looked at carefully and therefore becoming the linchpin for companies that got in such significant trouble. The SEC actually mandated the AICPA to come up with procedures in which a task force was set up of the AICPA Insurance Companies Committee. It was called the Reinsurance Task Force. I had the luxury or pleasure of working with that task force and actually was responsible for helping design some of the procedures in that task force. What's funny is in a deposition 3 years ago, I was asked, are there any procedures, because the counsel asked me, didn't really know if there were or not, and I said, and she basically said, how do you know what you're doing in this situation is right? And the answer was, well, there's a standard for CPAs, and it's been there for 30 years, I hate to say this, and it's been around. And she said, well, how do you know about that? And I told her how I knew. I participated. She said, well, how do you know it's still applicable? And I said, because nothing's ever superseded it. So auditing is really common sense and judgment. It's one of those things where you see it, you know what it is, so you don't have to have a lot of standards around on that.